Welcome all to another exciting episode of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer. I am Ken Sebahar, and with me as always is the man who wishes he could migrate a GP database while brewing the perfect cup of coffee, Michael Intravartolo. How's it going today, Michael?
Hey Ken, I'm doing great. Just like Dynamics 365, I'm constantly updating and optimizing. Today we've got an episode that's packed tighter than my fishing tackle box.
Absolutely. And speaking of updates, we've got all the juicy details on the 2024 Release Wave 2 for Business Central. Trust me, you do not want to miss this.
Plus, we have a very special guest joining us today. Kennie Pontoppidan, the Principal Program Manager at Microsoft, will be here to spill some insider secrets. No spoilers, but let's just say it's going to be epic.
And if that's not enough, we'll dive into the latest advancements in AI. Because what's better than combining cutting-edge tech with a frosty cold one?
Speaking of frosty cold ones, Ken, what are we drinking today?
Today we're going to be enjoying a nice non-alcoholic Hazy IPA from the Athletic Brewing Company. Perfect for an episode where I need to stay sharp and focused on all the innovations and insights. So grab your own favorite brew, sit back, and join us for another unforgettable ride.
Cheers to that, Ken. Let's get this party started. Stay tuned, everyone. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And remember, always keep your software updated and your beer cold.
All right, it is beer time, and we're fortunate enough. Speaking of beer, we're fortunate enough to earlier on interview Kennie Pontoppidan from Microsoft, and we'll be adding that to the podcast later. But because of scheduling or time differences and whatnot, or perceived time differences, we we scheduled his interview for earlier in the day. So, but during that interview, he mentioned that non-alcoholic beer is on the up and up, and that we should try a good non-alcoholic beer. So Ken and I took a trip to Benny's, and Ken, what do we come up with?
Right. Well, you know what? I mean, the first thing is to your point, it is on the up and up. I can remember a day where if you walked into, buy some beer, maybe there was 2 or 3 choices or maybe, and
if you bought one, you had to hide it in the bag so nobody saw it.
Yeah. What were there? At least like 20 or 30 different options available from many different breweries of different styles too. So what we picked was Athletic Brewing Company, which is a pretty large non-alcoholic brewery. Like that's all they make is non-alcoholic beer. So that's like they're hitching their wagon to the non-alcoholic thing, and we're actually going with a Hazy IPA.
So definitely.
This should be a flavorful. Yeah. It should be a pretty flavorful beer.
And I think what I'm looking forward to when I first give it a sip, though, is I want to see some hops. Right? I equate no carbonation, no nothing with non-alcoholic beer. If we can get past that someday,
flavor and carbonation.
Flavor and carbonation, yeah.
All right, let's
crank them open.
Let's crank it open and see what we got here. Smells pretty good.
Yeah, it's got more of a citrusy smell, I would think. A little bit more citrusy. Yeah.
It looks it's definitely hazy, looks like a light hazy, like a little bit of a lighter hazy actually. Yeah. Not as much head.
No, very little
on it. So maybe your carbonation. Yeah. We'll see if that level holds up for
Episode 63.
So it's a lot lighter than a typical hazy IPA. It usually has a heavier feel, although it's only 70 calories. So it's actually like it has the, what would you call it, mouthfeel viscosity of like a light lager.
It does, yeah.
Type beer.
It does.
It doesn't have kind of a heavier taste. Like some of those IPAs are like 200 calories.
Oh yeah. But it has some sort of aftertaste. Are you getting that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
But these too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see how it ages. There's always that first sip always tastes a lot different than the last sip.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of just sit here and keep enjoying these. One of the things that I thought we should talk about, we always like to educate on this show, is I just like went in and I went into my AI powered Bing search engine and I typed in how is non-alcoholic beer made. And what I found out was that there's actually two distinct processes for creating non-alcoholic beer. The first is called de-alcoholization. So it involves making regular beer and then using a process, one of three different types of processes to strip out the alcohol, mostly by applying steam and high temperature and evaporating the alcohol. I think that's the traditional method.
Yeah.
Like the O'Douls
method most people don't
or
like
Sharps
that much, yeah.
of the world.
Sharps, yeah.
That's the traditional way, and usually the flavor gets impacted by that. The second way is what's called controlled brewing. So controlled brewing basically is controlling the brewing process, like as mashing and fermentation, that produces a beer with less alcohol. So this is not actually non-alcoholic beer that we're drinking. The Athletic Brewing Company uses this new, more modern controlled brewing method, and the result is a beer that contains 0.5% or less alcohol by volume.
Yeah. Interesting though, because it's still marketed non-alcoholic brew. So I'm assuming that, I don't know, maybe 1% or less, somewhere around along those lines is still considered non-alcoholic. But if you're an actual alcoholic, I don't know,
Yeah, I had another taste. I'm kind of picking up the wort, like in the beer. If you ever brewed beer, it kind of has this aroma of like when you're brewing. If you've ever anyone who's made beer and you're cooking the wort, and it has a very powerful, distinct smell, and I'm kind of picking that up a little bit in the flavor of it. But yeah, it does have kind of a citrusy taste.
Does it remind you of an IPA? Drinking?
Yeah, definitely does. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I was out and about and I needed to drive or whatever, I just wasn't in the mood or whatever the case was, I would grab one of these, I think, and drink it without any problems. Yeah.
It's got that aftertaste. I'm not really digging that aftertaste for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully it subsides as we go along. But while we're drinking this beers, how about we talk about like what we did last month on the podcast?
Yeah.
Catch the readers up a little bit.
Yeah. So if you missed us last month, you should first of all go back and find some time to listen.
Great podcast.
Very great. We actually had Rob Hallberg, who is a commercial banker for BMO Bank, and he basically is a lender for small and mid-market businesses, just typical Business Central organizations, and he kind of gave us the impact of technology on companies as he's looking at them from a banker, someone who's about to lend money to a business to build out their facilities or do whatever. Like how do they consider, or do they consider technology in that way?
To see some of their requirements or to hear some of the requirements that they actually look at, how fast you can get certain reports to them or your financial data or whatever it is.
Yeah.
All those things that go into it. For me was very interesting. I didn't realize, first of all, I didn't realize not a lot of people, I didn't realize businesses actually take out loans for ERP implementation, right?
It does happen.
Because,
Yep.
So it was a very, very interesting podcast. I highly recommend people listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally different perspective than what we're usually, we're always like, we're like all insiders, like industry insiders, and bringing in guests that are insiders. This was like completely separate perspective. So an outsider.
Yeah. And, you, the listeners, if you guys want us to do more and more of that, bring in some different guests, whatever it may be, let us know. Shoot us an email, comment on wherever we post the podcast. Just let us know. We're happy to try different things too, if it's what people want.
Yep. And this episode, we have a shot segment will contain a lot of good news, including kind of a high level overview of the new 2024 Wave 2 features. So we're just gonna kind of touch on it. And also, Kenny from Microsoft joining us as the data analytics and reporting product manager. Should be an exciting discussion as well.
And next month, it's usually one of the more popular podcasts we do. We are going to deep dive into the 2024 R2 release for Business Central, release Wave 2. So always fun, always interesting, always good to learn new things. See how it goes.
And how about let's just roll and dive into the shot.
Let's do it.
So I want to start off. I'm sure Michael will have some updates for us on new updates, but I want to just go in the way back machine for a moment to Business Central version 23, and
way back,
yeah, to like 2-3 months ago, and I don't know that anyone is still being impacted by this, but I know a lot of organizations were. There was an error on the update to version 24. And if you went in and looked at the error notes, and it wouldn't upgrade to version 24, and the error message said first party sync error. And it really didn't get resolved. And I just wanted kind of as a public service announcement, if you're in this situation and you haven't had this issue resolved yet, there is a solution out there. It is to basically delete all of the entries in the service connections table in your company, in your environment. So what we did is had a developer create a simple extension that you just install the extension into the environment, and during the installation process, it auto deletes those records in that table. And once you run that, you reschedule your update, runs right through. So it's a technical fix is required. But it's not something that you can resolve on your own without some assistance.
No side effects, so to speak, of deleting those records and whatnot. Nothing.
Nope, not at all.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see what I got here. Update 24.3 for Business Central Online 2024 release Wave 1 has started to be released. Not everybody has seen the update yet, but so there's some hot fixes, just like with everything else, but there's some feature changes, right? And there's 5 that I'd like to just mention real quick. There's enable additional countries and regions, which is in preview. Simplify collections with Copilot for Finance and Business Central, also in preview. Enable sustainability features for integrations with APIs. Automate country of origin listed for item tracking code on intrastat reporting. And last but definitely not least, install field service integration with Business Central from AppSource, which is kind of like a precursor to one of the field service integration things coming out in the 2024 R2 release.
Yep.
Want me to go? I got one more.
Yeah.
All right. This is my last one. Business Central Online. The customer count has now surpassed NetSuite's customer count. NetSuite has 38,000 customers. Business Central now has over 40,000 customers online. So let's hear
big milestone marker.
Yeah,
there we go. Number 1, baby. Number 1.
I believe it does make us number 1, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I just want to point out, this is kind of a partner message for partners out there. If you are a partner that's focused mostly or exclusively on Business Central, Microsoft has confirmed that they will be assigning advanced certification points for those who have passed the Business Central Developer Certification Exam. So this has kind of been a sticky point for partners who really had no viable way to achieve the business application certification. So apparently now you will get a point or however many points for the developer exam that was newly released not too long
I think
ago.
you have to pass both of them, right? The 800 level and 820 level?
Yeah, both
To
the
get
functional consultant and developer
Right.
exam. Yeah. So,
But that's good. That's progress in the right direction.
Yep.
Because otherwise, just regular Business Central partners can't attain that certification.
Yep. Also conferences. So there's a new event that's going on called Days of Knowledge Americas 2024. It's taking place September 12th through the 14th in Atlanta, Georgia. And this conference aims to give North American-based Dynamics Business Central partner professionals, basically developers and consultants, a new way to train, learn, and stay current on a range of topics. A day of workshops followed by 2 days of event sessions offers attendees a chance to focus on skill development without a typical client and operational demands of their jobs. So opportunity to get away and do some
Nice.
learning.
Yeah, nice. Something for the developers.
Yep. And then also Dynamic Community Summit will be taking place in San Antonio, Texas on October 14th through the 17th. We will be in attendance there. I'm speaking, I have a session called Data Integrity, Security, and Audit Tools to Simplify Your Audit and Let You Sleep Better. And then
It's a very scary topic for some people.
Auditors come in, people get
Yeah.
nervous, right? So this basically we're going to talk about on the session, what are things that you can do ahead of time and during the audit to make that process much more streamlined and efficient, so it's not consuming all of your time and energy and resulting in a lot of anxiety. So
It's really common to be audited, right? I mean, for businesses.
Yeah, all organizations go through some level of review. It may not be a formal audit. If you're a publicly traded company, you have to go through a very formal audit process. But even other companies go through maybe a review process where auditors do come in and poke around and ask questions and ask for reports in order to compile financials, do tax returns, and things like that. So, and hopefully, again, let's set up the system and understand what reports to provide to get them to stop asking so many questions. And then kind of the last piece here of the shot is kind of want to incorporate into here the 2024 Wave 2 summary. So again, if this may be the first you've heard that it's out, go online. You can go, there's a web page with all of the detailed release notes out there. There are a total of 56 new features currently, allocated for this release, which will be, and it looks like most of these new features are going to be deployed in October, with a few of them scheduled for November, December, or all the way actually through March 2025. Yeah. So let's talk about, so what are a couple of the themes? So, for most users in the applications area is always right interesting. What are some of the new features and functionality that are getting put in here? I think one of the major additions is that there will now be a new recurring billing app included in the standard product. So if you do any sort of recurring invoicing or subscription billing of any sort of services or products or contracts, this is going to be a nice addition.
It's huge. I mean,
into the standard
world,
product.
Who doesn't do it, right? I mean, everybody offers is
correct. Yep.
Subscription based.
So that's a nice thing, and it's actually kind of a proven app that Microsoft is incorporating into there. It already exists, so it's being licensed. So it's something that's not brand new on day one. There's already a product out there that they're incorporating into the base product, which is also good news. They're also adding some improvements for inventory and warehouse management as it relates to the projects module, formerly jobs. So also improvements to the e-commerce, e-documents features, improvements to the field service integration, and improvements to the Shopify integration. So those are kind of the lump sum categories, and next month we'll dive a little deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the field service integration. Whether it's on LinkedIn, people talking about it, and different things from Microsoft. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to be about.
Yep. So moving along, Copilot, there's actually 9 new features listed. And I use the term loosely here because several of them are actually improvements to previously announced or existing Copilot features.
I think that happened last release too.
Yeah, like bank rec.
Right.
Is in there.
For like
They've been doing like every release has improvements to the bank rec process, right? Yet that's just one no one likes doing bank recs. So there's that, but there are a couple new ones that caught my eye. One is a feature called Summarize Any Record with Copilot. I'm just curious. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's capable of doing yet. I have some ideas.
Really?
But like summarize,
I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the question, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. And then another interesting one is suggest number series with Copilot. This is more for like implementation and setup, I believe. But it's just kind of another new feature. So I kind of feel like some of these things
let's be honest, that's not AI.
How
that happens now in Word and whatever you want all the time.
I don't know, right? So I love that they're trying stuff. It's exciting.
Trying to keep the hype going, maybe.
Yeah. There's a couple new things that they lump some they have a category. It's really called user experience. I kind of think of this like application or feature changes, but it has to do with like the user interface, right? So they're adding like access keys with key tips to help users quickly explore, navigate, and activate any action on the action bar. So I think it's like hotkeys or basically quick keys, shortcut keys, whatever, is what it looks like to me. Again, haven't gotten our hands on it certainly or seen too much detail yet, but it sounds like something allowing users to maybe take a little bit more personalized experience on how they navigate. Ability to drag and drop multiple files onto a record in BC, so you can drag and drop 2 or 5 files at once and move them. And then this is kind of a cool one. And I'm not sure if this is already in there. I feel like it might be actually. The ability to resize columns even when personalization is not enabled. So you're just sitting on a page, on a list page, and you can widen a column without having to go into personalization. I feel like that's there.
I just don't know if it stays there though. Is that the difference? Maybe you close it out, it automatically.
Maybe it reverts it back. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. And then one that, again, Kenny's going to touch on, I'm sure, is that in the reporting and data analysis, they're creating over 60 or 70 new Power BI reports across finance, sales, purchasing, inventory, manufacturing, and projects. So out of the box. That's completed reports across all these modules.
That's huge. That's a lot.
Right? We'll see what they look like, but man, no one's going to complain about more out of the box reporting.
No. And I know that they had some sort of like trial going on where customers could sign up and test it out before. So if we do some digging, maybe we can find out a little something of what it might be.
I like the way you think.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. So there's also 11 development changes, improved in-client performance profiling, tighter integration between Visual Studio Code and GitHub. Exciting to see. The ability to extend and modify role centers from other extensions or apps, and word-based report layout improvements. So, maybe some of those things are exciting to you, maybe not. I'm not sure how many. Hopefully we have a lot of developers listening, but dive in. There's a bunch of changes there. And then across governance and administration, country, regional, and legislation, there's another 20 features and functionality. Some of the lesser known maybe or newer tools and things.
I speak for the people. Yeah, whatever. Just kidding. No, a lot of good updates. 50, what'd you say, 54, 50, 56 total?
Yeah.
Usually it's what, high 30s, low 40s, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So pretty good. You know what we've never seen any more updates on, and we used to see a lot of these at the beginning, and as crazy as I am, I once thought that, well, go ahead.
Teams integration.
Yes, I once thought that Teams was going to be like the platform for everything. We see no more Teams integration, anything. Wonder why.
I knew
You did,
where
yeah.
you were going on that one.
I thought for sure they were going to like make Teams the platform just to access everything.
Yeah. All right, let's get ready for our talk with Kennie.
Revolutionize your business communications with Microsoft Teams Phone from Solution Systems and save up to 50% on phone bills. Contact Solution Systems today.
Welcome to episode 62 of A Shot at Business Central and a Beer, hosted by Ken Sebahar and Michael Intravartolo. In this episode, we're excited to have Kennie Pontoppidan, Principal Program Manager at Microsoft, join us for an in-depth discussion on all things analytics, BI, and reporting in Business Central. But before we dive into the details, let's check in with our guest. Kennie, how are you doing today, sir?
Thanks, Michael. I'm doing great. I'm just looking out here in beautiful Fargo summer on outside my window, and it's sunny and clear blue skies, so can't complain about that. And also can't complain when we talk about like my favorite topic, which is data and data-driven and reporting and analytics. So couldn't be better.
Clear skies and analytics. What more could you ask for?
Exactly.
All right, we're also joined by Ken. Ken, you want to say hello to everybody?
Yeah, welcome. Welcome our guest, Kennie. Glad to have you here. And if I got to get a little Fargo joke in, so it's it is July. That's summer, right?
I know.
So
yeah.
you got to enjoy it while it's there. That's for sure. But we're happy to have you. And also I just doing reporting. It's reporting and data analytics is something that's that I love doing as well. I have a kind of finance and accounting background, so this is a really exciting topic. And I'm also excited because I think it touches all users, right? Anyone who's doing anything with Business Central, right, wants the data. So I think this is going to be a fun discussion. And as always, it's always great to have a Microsoft person on the call so we can grill you with some challenging questions about what the future holds.
Sounds good. Let me see if I can survive the next 30 minutes.
All right, let's jump on in then. So we'll start out basically just talking about your background. Maybe you can give us a little intro of your role as principal program manager and what your involvement is with Business Central and analytics and BI and those type of things.
Certainly. So my background is actually I have a math background. I have a Master of Science in mathematics, a bit of physics and statistics, and then I didn't use that for what it was supposed to do. I just joined the IT force back in 1998, my first internship at a bank, and I still have production code running there in PL SQL. So that was matrix algebra in databases for risk management. And I think back then I fell in love with databases and SQL, and that's been a part of my career ever since. Always coming back to data, using data, modeling data, being data driven. So I've been a BI consultant, I've been a database consultant, I've been a developer, developing ERP systems, not in Business Central, but still business processes. And for the last 8 years, I've been in Microsoft with this great team with Business Central, where I've been a program manager. And my role as a program manager I'm attached to our AL runtime team. So that's deep in the stack. So we own the data stack, web services, reporting. When people write AL code, they use developer tools at a compiler. When that code is running, that's our team. We run that code in the server, in the service. So what I do as a program manager is translate whenever I hear from customers and partners what they would like to do or what doesn't work well yet, transform that into requirements, get the funding backing from our LT in the product team and in the team, and eventually make sure that this is made into features that customers and partners can use.
So are you heavily monitoring the Microsoft Ideas page for Business Central then?
I get everything related to my topic that is created as work items in our backlog, and then we use that together with other input on what to do next. Yeah, so that's one type of feedback that we use.
Yeah. And I've noticed that like on your LinkedIn page, a lot of that feedback and a lot of your experiences or whatnot, you've put out some really great newsletters on LinkedIn, right? Talking about, I think one of your quotes was, before we can understand the future, we have to know the past, or maybe it was opposite, something like that. Yeah. It was really good. But along those lines then, so what are some of the key benefits of leveraging analytics like with Business Central?
So I have a background with BI before joining Microsoft, and back then it was all about, it wasn't necessarily what we call stovepipe analytics, which would be the built-in analytics you have in your CRM or ERP. Back then it was more like data warehouses, so the true value of a data warehouse or BI would be mix and match data sources to get like a truth that goes beyond just one system. What I do with Business Central in particular is trying to not necessarily do the data warehousing thing, that's for ISVs and others, but first of all, well, most importantly, give customers and users the analytics they need out of the box if possible. And then if that's not possible, make it very easy for them to get kind of to the numbers they need. That's what we call ad hoc analysis. And then if that's not enough, then hopefully built-in reports will do the thing. If that's not enough, make it easy as possible for customers, partners to adopt the built-in functionality. So that's one leg, like make sure that customers are able to be data-driven. And then I also hope to drive a culture with partners, customers, how to be data-driven. Because just having data and visualizations and reports doesn't matter if you're not use that to actually drive your business with data. And that's also something I know from my BI days. Doesn't come for free. It doesn't just get there. It's something that organizations need to learn. So there's also a lot of learning in this, helping how to drive your business with KPIs and so on.
So are you saying that the near future then holds more out-of-the-box reports for Business Central?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we had the release plan just got live a few days ago for the next wave, 2024 wave 2. And in there, we tell the story that we are coming with out-of-the-box Power BI reports for most functional areas in Business Central. So that's coming in a couple of months, and I'm looking very much forward to kind of getting customer partner feedback on that. Now, out-of-the-box reporting, since Business Central can be used for so many different areas, so different businesses, we will never be able to nail it like if you sell shoes in Ohio or you sell sushi restaurants in Japan. Like we would never necessarily have the best sushi report in the world, but we'll have you covered with the basic stuff in finance and so on. And hopefully getting that right. We won't get it right the first iteration. Then we'll make sure that we get it more right for April.
Yeah. You know what, and what we've found over, we've been a partner, selling and implementing NAV and Business Central for 24 years now. And what we found is that the tools that have come out recently and that you've kind of been pointing out in your recent LinkedIn series that you've been doing on like the history of Business Central reporting over the last 4 years, we've been kind of following that, and it's an interesting reading to hear about the behind the scenes all of the things that had to happen and come together to provide all these reporting tools in Business Central. But what we found is that no matter how awesome of a report you put together, someone's going to want something just a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So what we found as a partner working with many customers is that there's one feature that came out a couple years ago that has significantly, I mean, it's reduced the amount of custom reports we do, frankly, for people. And that is the ability to take any report in Business Central, and instead of outputting it to a PDF or the printer or whatever, you can send the data, all of the data, to Excel in a clean format that they can then use to do pivot tables and charts and graphs and whatever they need to do. And that's been the answer in a lot of times, because they always want it. I want to group it this way. I want to sort it that way. I want to see this field or that field. And that feature, that one little button on the print thing has been huge. So I don't know if you can maybe talk about that a little bit, or some of those recent changes.
I think so. In the LinkedIn series, I will go into more depth in the next parts, also about the strategy that we built for analytics, and some of the kind of key elements that helped us in the strategy pick features or prioritize areas. That strategy has the number one thing is like out of the box content that I just described. The second part of that is if out of the box content is not giving you exactly what you want, give tools to end users to tweak it to get the analytics they need, if possible, like within reason, of course, right?
Yeah. Right.
So that's where you get that's why we invested in things like Excel layouts. Excel layouts is trying to democratize the layout experience for the reporting, not the data sets there you still need a developer. You still need it. You might in the future don't need a developer for that as well. But the layout experience is now can be in the hands of end users or power users at the customer side, and they can tweak, because the idea with Excel layouts is you use Excel both as the layout tool and as the tool where you consume the data. When you run the report, you get it in Excel. When you define the layout, you do it in Excel. So that's one leg or one part of that. The other one is the data analysis tool that we added a couple of releases back, where most lists in Business Central and soon queries that we ship with the product supports just in-client ad hoc analysis. So that's also, some customers might just call their analysis tabs reports, even though we just call it ad hoc analysis. And my experience back from my BI days was exactly what you describe here. The first thing you do when you deliver BI is, the first question customers will have is, can I have it in Excel? Right? You build all this nice tooling and reports. The first thing they want is just give me the data in Excel. So that's why we thought, okay, let's do the Excel reports or layouts. And the second thing is the ad hoc analysis is kind of where you don't have standard reporting. So I tell this joke that, I describe ad hoc analysis, the data analysis in client, that it's this situation where you sit Friday afternoon, you're on your way to pick up the kids, and your manager come in and ask you, by the way, how did it go with the campaign we did last week? How many teddy bears did we sell in Greece this year compared to last year? That's the key of ad hoc analysis. You never get a report that give you that. That's why you need something where you can quickly pivot, group, and just go, yeah, here you go, Greg. Have a nice weekend. Here are your numbers. Now I'll go pick up my kids.
Yeah, and that data analysis tool, I'll tell you what, I think I don't know if maybe there's users or listeners out there that looked at that maybe 2 releases ago or when it came out, but in the newest release, there's Copilot, right? That actually allows you just type in. So you open up the item ledger entries page, show me all of my furniture items grouped by date or by customer, and boom, there it is. So I think the usability with that Copilot feature in there makes that a lot less, maybe, well, it wasn't super intimidating to begin with, but for some users maybe it was, but now that just typing in the Copilot what you're looking for, I think it is a huge improvement too.
Thank you.
Noting.
And that's interesting coming from this background of BI, I mean, for me, a pivot table is not scary. I pivot data like in my normal work when I need to prioritize things. I just do it in Excel. Finance people find that the same. They just Excel is their tool of choice. So when we first discussed the analysis assists, the Copilot on data analysis, the feature, I was like, who want to describe that in text when you can just like pivot? I was kind of a dinosaur here, right? I was like, who would ever do that? And then, and I was kind of grumpy old man. I was walking the dog with my wife one evening in Copenhagen, and I told her this story, like, look, these guys, like, it's a different team than mine who did the Copilot feature, right? So, and I was telling her, like, these idiots, like, they want to put Copilot and like just describe this in natural language to do a pivot table. Have you ever heard of something as like stupid like that? No one is going to do that. And she looked at me and she said, and look, my wife is a senior researcher. She's doing lots of statistics. Like, she's super smart and very clever with numbers. And she told me, look, sometimes I have a hard time doing the pivot things right. And I was like, oh, okay. Then maybe it's not as stupid as idea and as I thought. So I actually changed my opinion a lot on that feature. Like that, this was when we built it. So when it actually came out, I was happy about it. And I even when we did demos at the launch event 6 months ago or whenever it was, I was playing around with it to kind of see how impressive could I make that demo. And my first thought would be, okay, let's just do accounts receivables, like, and just do the simplest thing you could ask for would be show what my customers owe me. That was my initial demo, and I put that prompt in, and it actually just gave me that accounts receivables quote unquote report. And I was like, whoa, that's clever, because the list doesn't show anything about owers. These are amounts, and the customer is not present. Well, it's present on the customer ledger, I guess, the ledger entries table. But that's that kind of, then it dawned me, okay, this Gen AI, we're onto something. Yeah.
So I happen to be a pretty big fan of AI, as Ken will attest to. What do you think the future kind of holds for AI with analytics? I mean, is it just going to dominate everything to where you just, with natural language, say whatever you want and it does whatever it's supposed to do for you within a matter of seconds?
I think there are different types of analytics or different types of use cases for AI in analytics, both with Gen AI, but also just unsupervised learning on data. So if you know a little bit about Power BI AI visuals or the built-in visuals in Power BI, there's a lot of unsupervised learning in these. The KPI suggestions is one. The other one is I forgot the name of it. This where you like go through a tree structure where you suggest based on statistics, what are the most probable, most contributors to things. And these are very, very easy for us and for partners to just add to Power BI. Like, we don't even call it AI, but there's a lot of AI model behind that. It's just not Gen AI. Then, and I think that's what we want to add to the built-in reports. Some of it will come in October, some of it will come later. Then the Gen AI, like the natural language, ask about my data. If you look at some of the demos from the Microsoft Fabric team, this is exactly what they already envision and what they already can do. Nothing comes for free. So with AI, even though it's impressive, you need some structure. So for data Q&A, the quality of what you get has to be a good quality semantic model in Power BI. The same thing for your copilots on your authoring experience. The metadata in your model has to be pretty good. But I envision that we will see a lot more copilots in the data space as well. So yeah, totally, it's coming. It's coming big time.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall. I think AI is going to be pretty much everywhere. So, let's see. So, is there any way you can maybe give us a sneak peek, or maybe not a sneak peek, but some insight into maybe something that's coming along the ways for analytics and Business Central and maybe Power BI?
Sure. So in the next wave here, 2024 wave 2, so we will have built-in Power BI reports. So there will be 7 different Power BI apps in finance, sales, purchasing, inventory valuation, projects. I think that's all of them. And I think all in all, more than 70 reports is something we ship there. With Excel built-in reports, we are also shipping, I think we are GAing the 10 we have already, and we are adding more. There we will likely also start deprecating reports with RDL reports, layouts for analytics, not document reports, but analytical reports. And just because the Excel is really nice, but the data set, the report data set needs to kind of be aligned with what you would do in Excel. And maybe many of the RDL, many of the classical AL reports with RDL layouts, the data sets are kind of tweaked to work with RDL or RDLC. So we'll probably over the next years get rid of a lot of the reports that were for analytics that had RDL, and just where Excel would be the future. And then for in-client, the data analysis, that's a couple of small improvements coming this wave. And I have a couple of more like ideas of what we want to do there. Things like week over week, for instance, week over week analysis is one. There will be likely other small tweaks to that to make that just a little bit easier. And then I know a lot of people are asking for a Fabric integration. So that's something we are designing, but I don't have any. I don't have any. Well, sorry, I don't have any date for that. There are still like internal components that we don't have to make that solution. So there's no ETA for that, but it's on our documentation. If you search for Fabric in Business Central documentation, you can kind of find an article that explains this is our ambition, but there's no like dates to share on that.
Am I wrong for always thinking that the Fabric aspect of it is geared towards enterprise solutions right now?
Yeah, that's probably not too wrong. As I see, analytics in Business Central is, so we are SMB, right? We are small medium business solution. And when I talk to partners and customers, it seems to me that the lower you are in the SMB triangle, like the S part, the more people just expect to use out of the box reporting, and they don't want to. They don't want to invest in. They don't want to pay. They don't want to invest in a lot of fancy stuff. They just want to use what's there. When you go like up in complexity in SMB, like larger customers or more complex businesses, that's where you see more and more need for build your own or have like analytics that is not built in. And this is also where I see many of the asks about Fabric. One lake integration in Fabric is also in that space. Whether it's enterprise, I mean, it's probably enterprisey, like going like up in the market is also where I see the need for this.
Yeah. Ken, have you talked to any of our customers that have mentioned Fabric, any of our larger ones? Just curious.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think is, and maybe why this is kind of why maybe you're not too wrong, Michael. I love that phrase. Is that the most attractive feature that we've seen with Power BI is where you can just say in Copilot, build me a dashboard showing me sales broken down by region and then by this, and then in like 20 seconds you have an entire dashboard built.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
That is like, huge, like hugest like thing I've seen, but it requires a specific tier of Fabric on Azure, which for most of our customers, it's a big investment.
It is, yeah. I mean, with every AI feature, I mean that's what we see everywhere. The models are getting better. The models are more performant over time, and price goes down. But I can't see price will go down for Fabric. Of course, that's not my pay grade and my level here in Microsoft. But I would be surprised. I would be like. With everything with AI, it's faster, cheaper, better, right? So why wouldn't it be that for Fabric? But don't quote on me, even though this goes on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming in a year or two or whenever that it will be affordable for most Business Central users. I think it will be.
Yeah, I think one of the big driving costs for AI, though, right, is the power it takes to actually run AI. So, if we can get those costs down in the world, then AI programs should dramatically decrease in cost.
And that's something we work big time within Microsoft to do that, right? Better, faster, cheaper.
We like to hear that. All right, so if you could recommend any sort of like best practices, tips or whatnot for businesses looking to optimize their, BC analytics. Is there anything you could recommend? Yeah.
We actually tried to describe this in our documentation. So there's an AKA link, which is aka.ms/BC reporting. And that takes you to the user documentation for analytics. So not like that is not documentation meant for the geeks that live in the basement and eat bits and bytes. So that's for some advice on for customers on how to get started on being data driven. And then it takes them through like different roles have different needs for analytics, what we call the BI triangle. And then for each of these needs, there are tools that are like suggested tools, and then take them through that. And we'll also, when we ship the new Power BI reports, they will also come with some usage documentation. So not only like, I hope that we won't deliver the reports as what I call throw over the wall feature or good luck feature. Sometimes, I mean, it's you ship something and then you say good luck and you do something else. So what we hope to do with this is ship the reports, but ship also extensive documentation on this report, this KPI is calculated like this, and these are some usage scenarios. Use this report to do blah. So hopefully that will then not make it look good luck, but here's a report. Here are some like initial instructions to inspire you on how to be data driven in your business by using this.
All right. And you said that link was aka.ms/, was it BC reporting?
Yeah.
A great place for everybody to start then. All right. So about does it, I guess. I know that I saw that. I don't know if you want to let everybody know if they actually want to catch one of your sessions coming up. I saw that you're going to be at what was it, BC or Days of Knowledge Americas?
Yeah, I will be at Days of Knowledge Americas. There will be reporting sessions there. I will be at Summits North America in Texas in October. There will be lots of reporting sessions there. And I will be at Directions EMEA in Vienna in November. And for the spring, probably, yeah, I don't know yet. But likely I'll be in the US Directions, maybe at some of the other ones. Let's see. Yeah.
All right. But before we let you go, do you have any sort of like favorite alcoholic drink, favorite beer? If not that, maybe just a favorite drink in general. I mean, we got to talk about the alcohol sometime.
We do. So actually, I stopped drinking alcohol 2 years ago, almost now 1.5 years ago. So I can't recommend any alcoholic. Well, I love beer. So beer is also a place where I like that there are non-alcoholic choices now. Well, yeah, many good ones actually, and what like the best thing in the world is if I go out to a restaurant or a pub or some place where they actually have good beer also without alcohol, both for people who like are driving or people who just stopped drinking alcohol. So unfortunately, many places just have a really sad selection, maybe just one that is not really worth it. But I think the world is changing in this space as well. I think breweries have realized that they can still sell beer at the same price, but just non-alcoholic. So for non-alcoholic beers from Denmark, I really like Mikkeller. So that's one brand that produce some really nice one. And I'm an IPA guy, so I like IPAs. You can't get you can get the hoppy ones, juicy IPAs here in the US. You can get some really nice selections of non-alcoholic ones. So I think that's one of my favorites. And hopefully for people who arrange conferences out there, like when you do the bar, like the conference evening and the receptions, get some good non-alcoholic beers for people to enjoy a beer without the buzz. That would be nice.
Yeah, fun fact: the non-alcoholic section of the beer industry is actually the fastest growing section within the industry. So it's becoming more and more popular, like you said.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and we're seeing like a lot of local breweries or brew pubs are, like Michael's point, making non-alcoholic beers, or now, at least in some areas of the U.S., cannabis-infused beers.
So
So no alcohol, but you get some cannabis in your beer.
Yeah.
I have not tried one of those myself, but I have tried a few of the non-alcoholic ones.
Yeah, my tip for non-alcoholic is don't go for the 0.0 ones. Go for the 0.5% ones. Because there's a big difference in taste. You can get a lot of the beer and the alcohol taste if you just take the 0.5, but 0.0 takes some, I don't know what happens, but it seems to take away a lot of the flavor, a lot of the beer quality.
Have you
Interesting.
noticed
That's a great
that
tip.
non-alcoholic beers maybe don't seem to or aren't as hoppy as a regular beer?
I think
Or
that's changing.
okay.
In the old days, it was non-alcoholic would kind of smell, or it would kind of be similar to when you do take rye bread and you soak it and make into a porridge. That's the taste you would get and the smell. But now you have lots of more hoppy ones, especially the juicy or hazy IPAs. Seems to be easier for them to brew without alcohol.
Alcohol. Yeah, we're gonna have to try it. All right. Well, we thank you for being on the podcast. If our listeners want to find you, what's the best place to find you? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is kind of where I am. I used to be on Twitter a lot, but I think that medium just sucks now, unfortunately. Back in the days, that was where all my friends from SQL data community was hanging around, and then when it was acquired, slowly people just drifted away from that platform. So now I'm actually not on Twitter anymore or X. So yeah,
So
find me on
LinkedIn's the best
LinkedIn.
place.
I'm a very active networker. Yeah, you can always do that.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks again for letting us talk to you and pick your brain, and for providing such great information for us on analytics and BI and Business Central and everything. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to have you back on the podcast, and we'll talk more about non-alcoholic beers.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and hopefully
thanks for having
we'll
me.
get to enjoy one together at the Summit conference later this year.
Let's do that. Thanks for having me, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much. It is time for AI snack time. One of my personal favorite segments that we do here on the podcast. So it's been about 1 year since Copilot became mainstream and people were, started using it more and more and more. And I was lucky enough to find some numbers here on Copilot and its usage. So I'm going to go through them, and it's going to be fun to see Ken's reaction.
I'm just going to sit here and snack while you read through your numbers.
All right. So 70% of Copilot users said they were more productive, and 68% said it improved the quality of their work. Overall, users are 29% faster in a series of tasks, which were searching, writing, and summarizing. So I could completely see that. Users were able to get caught up on missed meetings nearly 4 times faster because of Copilot. Now, I've never actually done the Teams Copilot meeting, note-taking, whatever.
Because they recorded the meetings and then went and looked at the transcript?
Yeah, like it goes through and it summarizes the entire meeting for you and bullet points it and lays out everything for you. But so I haven't done that yet, so I can't say whether or not it's good or bad. 64% of users said Copilot helps them spend less time processing email. Not sure how that one works, but 85% of users said Copilot helps them to get a good first draft faster. I can 100% see that. And how that number is only 85%, I can't fathom, right? I mean, that's what Copilot's good at, is feeding you a bunch of jargon just to make something give you a draft. 75% of users said Copilot saves me time by finding whatever I need in my files. I have not used that either and did not know that Copilot does that. Maybe on the new Windows PC laptop, you can use Copilot.
You're using the Microsoft 365 Copilot?
Yeah,
yeah.
I am. Yeah. So what they're using, I'm assuming the same thing. Let's see. 77% of users said that once they use Copilot, they didn't want to give it up. Ken, do you feel that way? Would you give up Copilot? Do you want to give up Copilot?
I could right now, today, just based on my relative minimal use of it, I could give it up without any major impact on my productivity.
All right. Fair enough. So for sales, it saved 90 minutes of time per week. 83% felt they were more productive, and 67% said they were able to parlay the time savings into more time with customers. Could that be a benefit? save time doing paperwork, whatever it may be, and spend more time with customers. Is it true?
Yeah.
Isn't that the point of AI though? So you can get more work done quicker, so you have more free time to yourself. Isn't that what everybody's pushing?
For yourself or for to go talk to more customers, to do more
For
work.
yourself.
Now that said, they freed up time to go talk to
Yeah,
more
I know. Yeah,
customers.
but I'm saying that's the opposite of what AI is, what they're pushing, right? More free time, more for you.
More
AI
productivity, I guess. Yes.
So for customer service and support, 12% reduction in case handling and a 10% boost in case resolution. Okay. And for HR, this one kind of scares me a little bit, I guess. It's my last thing. For HR, 26% reduction in initial response time. I don't know if I like that. AI handling HR cases.
Yeah.
I think HR's got to have some sort of emotional, accountability for something.
I guess, I mean, yeah, we have to, there's so many variables and qualifiers that you have to apply to this. I mean, at a small to mid-size organization where you have probably one or maybe two HR internal resources, I don't know how those people have already incorporated AI to improve their efficiency 26%.
Yeah.
Like I know that if they're using
it's like 50%, 60%.
I mean, have they deployed an internal portal where users can ask questions, and it's like a small language model, language model,
Yeah.
where they've trained it on all of that company's internal HR policies so that AI can return answers more quickly? That's what
I don't know if I like that if that was the case.
no one,
But-
So, yeah, I mean, I think there is a big capability to train these large language models into, or actually based on, I guess, not large language models, but small language models, like on your company's specific data, so that people can just do a natural language
Yeah.
search there to get an answer out of this archive of all of this company policies and procedures and things to get answer. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know that in the small to mid market that many companies are at that level today.
Yeah.
That's like, these are maybe huge enterprise sized companies that have these huge teams of people to work on incorporating Copilot into their internal networks, maybe.
I got a friend who has this software, and it's what used to be heavily dependent on OCR technology. Okay. And I was talking to him, and I was like, well, has AI benefited you in any way? He's like, man, I don't care what anybody says, it's the most amazing thing. The stuff is as smart as can be. He says OCR you'd have to have something in the exact place on the, whatever it may be for it to read. He's like, AI came in, anything you want anywhere, it reads it and it knows, he says. Like, wow, it's pretty impressive. So to me, that's kind of true AI, right? Where it can read something and interpret it, but.
Well, I guess I would say for me, the number one productivity tool, and maybe this is Copilot or AI, I'm not 100% sure. I didn't think it was, but maybe it is whether I'm on my computer or my phone and I'm sending an email or I'm sending a text, I will use the dictation functionality instead of sitting there and typing out a long email. If I have a long message to someone, I'll just use that dictation tool and I'll verbally say the message and it writes it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's incorporating AI into their to self-correct, to autocorrect.
The grammar part maybe.
And things like that.
Yeah.
But for me, over the last year, I would say if you ask me what's the most significant productivity improvement I've made in my own life, it would be using that dictation device. So instead of sitting there and spending maybe a minute with my fat thumbs on my little phone screen, retyping and back typing and then fixing my mistakes again and again, just hitting the button and talking like I'm talking right now, and it's writing the email for me.
Is it accurate?
For the most part, I still do a review of it.
Sure.
And I still will maybe fix something. It will maybe mistranslate something I say, especially if it's like a technical term or a name or something. Though that's typically what it'll get wrong. But even that time to correct that one thing relative to the overall thing. Now, I'm not using it if I'm typing a message, okay, sounds good, thanks. Right. I mean, I'm typing that. But if I have someone says, I need to type like 2 paragraphs as a reply or 3 paragraphs, I feel like AI cannot create that message for me because it doesn't know what I want to say. So the easiest way for me to say it is to just say it out loud and have it write the email as I'm saying it. Like, to me, that's a big gain.
I have noticed in Outlook, I don't know if you've noticed, it's starting to suggest replies to emails. Have you seen that?
Yes, a little bit. Yep.
So that's
short little replies.
Yeah, but I guess there would be some sort of AI because it's reading what was written to you.
I guess, yeah. Yep. I actually did pick one the other day. Said
yeah, no problem. Or
yeah, okay, sounds good, thank you, or whatever. Whatever it was. It was a basic reply. So
yeah, so interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
But all right. Well,
I have one question for you as before we wrap up here and rate our beer for the month. A year ago, you say, huh, my friend?
A year ago, I said about
that AI was going to change this world, and everything will be impacted by it, and things will never be the same.
All right, what hasn't been impacted by AI 1 year out now?
My golf game.
Yeah, right. Have you seen the things you can put on the golf clubs that read the swing and it'll analyze everything you do? Have you seen those?
No.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty cool. You got to check into it.
Okay.
If you want to no, but honestly, a year later, I would say AI. I would say that in every field, in every industry, somewhere along the line, somebody's able to use AI for something.
I would. Here's how I would. I think you're very close. In every industry, everywhere around the world, everyone is actively seeking ways that they can try to improve their product or service using AI.
Sure.
But I don't know that everyone has found a way to use it successfully to improve their product or service.
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, basic things, writing or I'll tell you what, though, look, I mean, even with Power BI, right, where you can tell it what to do nowadays, that's going to be pretty big. Speaking with Kenny, he said that the future is going to be even more of it. I think plus with the Windows PC that just came out, I think it's been launched. We'll see. We'll give it 1 more year. If nothing changes a little bit in 1 more year, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen, Ken.
All right. I will hold my breath.
All right. Let's rate these beers. Should we ask Copilot what he thinks?
Yeah, so I will go first. And for those of you who don't know, I have a 0 to 100 rating system. 50, the midpoint being the level at which above 50, I'll have another one. Below 50, I will not. So I'm looking at all the different beers we've rated over the years. And I feel like this fits comfortably at a 51.
Oh,
because I would drink another one.
Wow.
But just barely.
I cannot go that high. I cannot get past this non-alcoholic aftertaste. The smell is citrusy. It looks good. It looks refreshing. At first taste, it's not too bad. The hops are good. But it's almost like
horse blanket?
I don't know what that would take. No, I want to say burnt bark.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting, like a burnt like it has shavings of burnt bark in it, to where you can't feel the bark, but you get that taste, you know. So I'm gonna go, and I gotta go 42 on it.
Okay.
Do you happen to know what I gave the rating for the last non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah,
Gotta be lower.
the other non-alcoholic beer we had was a beer. It's called Brooklyn Special Effects. It was an IPA, also non-alcoholic. I gave it a 38. So this Athletic Brewing Company is better. I think, and I'm even remembering the Brooklyn Special Effects. I think I couldn't give it away. So this one though, I feel like, well, we have a bunch more here. Well, time will tell, right? Will these get drinking or not, right? We'll keep them here in the fridge. You gave Brooklyn Special Effects your lowest rating of all time.
Yeah, it was bad.
19.
It was bad. It was bad.
So this is at least twice as good as that.
I would say so. Yeah, this has more hops, but just because it's twice as good doesn't mean it's really good. Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna try a flavored beer for next month. I'm gonna bring in a flavored non-alcoholic along with some.
I'll give you an interesting little bit of trivia here before we wrap this up. 42 is the same exact rating you gave to Donna's pickle beer a couple months ago.
It's about the same, right? I think I drink a can of that and a can of this. Although I would probably opt, if I had to have a second of either one, I would probably opt to have a second of this over the pickle beer.
So we'll get 42.2.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the pickle juice just kind of catches up with you.
Okay.
But it's about right. It's about right. All right. Well, thanks for everybody for listening. Like it, share it, all that good stuff. Ken?
Bye.
As we end today's podcast, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who listens, shares this podcast, and leaves us reviews. You've taken a good amount of your time out of your day, and we truly appreciate it. Thanks again, and don't be afraid to email us at marketing@solsyst.com with your tips for the podcast, or maybe you'd even like to be a guest during an episode.